On certain nights, a match looks like a map. Neat lines, fixed routes, everyone moving along arrows drawn days before. And then Jamal Musiala touches the ball, and the map turns into a sketchbook. He doesn't just follow the plan, he redraws it, live, with a feint and a glide that makes time slow for a beat. That habit didn't come from a chalkboard. It started with a child's comfort in a moving ball. Jamal was born in Stuttgart in 2003, bouncing between cultures and languages, German mother, Nigerian father, Polish roots, before the game gave him one simple language to trust. Picture a corridor in a small apartment and a ball nudged along the skirting board, 1,000 touches without a referee, timing learned from echo and light. At 16, he made the bravest decision of his young career. He left Chelsea's comfort for Bayern's machine. It wasn't a rebellion against structure. It was a bet that his creativity could bloom inside one of the most exacting systems in Europe. Germany's academies would toughen his edges, but he was determined to keep the soft steps that let him ghost past a man in a phone booth. On Bayern's campus, the days were measured, rondeurs at a metronome's pace, tactical grids marked like chessboards, demands coming sharp and clear. Yet even there, he'd squeeze a tiny improvisation into the gaps, a touch with the sole of the foot to change an angle, a swivel that recast a 3-yard space as a runway. And then came September 2020, the Bundesliga opener against Schalke, when he stepped off the bench at 17. First a clean acceptance of the pass, then a lean past a defender, then the shot tucked home. Youngest Bayern League scorer, but more important than the number was the feel. The kid's instincts worked just fine on the biggest stage. That first year wrote a quiet manifesto for him. Hansi Flick's Bayern moved like a drill team, but Musiala floated between the ranks, dipping into the pockets, where defenders glance at each other, unsure whose job it is. He'd take a pass on the half-turn with a defender looming, soak up the contact, like a dancer absorbs a partner's weight, and come out facing goal with the pitch spread like a canvas. It wasn't a trick for trick's sake. It was a pressure valve for a side that sometimes wound itself too tight. Then came a moment that married instinct to consequence. April 2022, Der Klassiker, Bayern against Dortmund, with the title in reach. The ball pinballed in a crowded box, bodies flying, the script gone. Musiala didn't slash at it. He waited a blink, nudged it past a leg, and poked in the goal that sealed the Meisterschale. No patterns there, just a young player steady enough in the storm to make the simplest choice look like sorcery. There was another pivot, quieter but just as loaded. Jamal had worn England's shirt in youth teams and loved it. But in 2021, he chose Germany for the senior stage. It wasn't just a passport decision. It was aligning himself with a national program, trying to stitch a new identity after a difficult run. Germany wanted discipline with a spark. Musiala promised the spark. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar gave him a hard lesson wrapped inside a highlight reel. Germany's structure wobbled. The team lurched between control and panic. In the must-win game against Costa Rica, Musiala dribbled as if the ball was tied to his socks, gliding through traffic again and again. He slipped past one red shirt, then 2 and 3, looking for a final pass that never quite met the finish. He completed more take-ons than anyone else that night, the match turning into a showcase of individual invention set against collective frustration. It was beautiful and brutal at once, the purest proof that improvisation can open doors, but it can't walk through them alone. He came home from that tournament with a clearer edge. Instinct wasn't enough. The rhythm needed a chorus. Back at Bayern, he began to time his dribbles not only to escape, but to draw out defenders on purpose, to make space for a teammate's late run, to turn a solo into a duet. The same pause that once dazzled was now a lever he could pull to shift an entire backline 2 steps left. This is what separates Jamal Musiala in an age of systems. He respects the plan, but he refuses to be reduced to it. When the game turns into lines and lanes, he finds the curve, the little bend that pulls everything open. And once you see that bend, you start noticing it everywhere he goes.